Welcome to the Bob Willoughby Experience, where you probably won't be experiencing much at all. I'm pretty ordinary, normal person. All I'll say is, if you want to find out about certain things, I'm not saying that I'm the Oracle. The Oracle, I am not. I wish I had just done that. That looks. I've got to remember to move my head. But give us a favourite progressive rock group, preferably one I know something about. Favourite YouTubers. How are you living your life or not living your life? I don't want it to be a sort of thing where, how can I put it? Everybody's complaining. We want to keep this light. Wish I'd done that. It's stuffed. Right. Let's start with a bit about me. I'm Bob Willoughby. I'm 47. I'll be 48 on Saturday. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. You'll find there's a lot of things that interest me. You'll find there's a lot of things that don't interest me. Just a bit difficult. That's better. I'm a wee behind, but that's part of the matter. I'm doing this because I'm at a loose end. I'm trying to get a job. Not so wonderful at the moment. And I'm just thinking, can I do something different? Can I attract people? I hope I can attract people. Managed to do it once. Didn't work. No, that's being unfair. I don't want to start doing any of that. I'm going about a certain song. I'll start with this. When a progressive rock band finishes an album off, oh God, I've got to stop this weepy eye. Starts an album off with a, how can I put it? Fairly innocuous, almost like pop song. Good thing. An excellent example of it being a good thing, Aphrodite's Child's 666. Even all the seats are occupied, which gets a lot of. No, I shouldn't do it. I'm supposed to stand size you live streams, are you? You're supposed to be rude. Balls? No. Please stop laughing now. Memory wobbles here. Not boots and all. Warts and all. But going back to what I was saying. Even all the seats are occupied, which gets a bit of meh from a lot of fans. Isn't that bad? It's still meh. Now, Break is a excellent, best guitar solos ever, and it's very nearly a hit. It's got a lot of it, but for some unknown, well, it might have been the third. I don't think they ever properly released it as a single, but it never became a hit anywhere else. Now, I'm wrong. Some of you shouldn't really do, but you should know about the album. You'll know about. Sorry, I have to shut it off. We'll know about the rest. You'll know how important it is. I'm trying to marshal my thoughts here. Oh, shoot, I'm going to have to edit this at the end of it, even though it's technically a live stream. But look like a right rat. Oh dear. Better stop. Show me this down as well. Fantastic record. It does not contain a vocal by Demis Roussos. It contains a vocal by Lucas Sedaris, who was the drummer. There's no two ways about it. It's a fine. As I say, it is really good. It's really, really good. The only problem with it is, after all that Sturm und Drang, let's call it that, of the fact that it's 666, there's something that could be misconstrued as being a bit dodgy. I don't mean it as dodgy. And interpreting it flatly as the thing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff around it. I mean, it's not purely like that, but it's taken quite flatly for a concept. You could have put in more tangents. It's very, very Greek Orthodox, and Aphrodite's child, of course, the Greek. Let's put it like this: they would have probably put more nuance in it. They probably would have put more tangents off it. But, well, I think the answer to that is no. No. It's their way of doing. Infinity's deeply weird, but you can understand where it comes from. Ballon, the system, the Four Horsemen, which we've actually seen on an advert. Jeez. A song about the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse on an advert. I think before, only somebody like, this is not sponsored content, this is just me talking, somebody like Guinness would have done that. And I think now they couldn't. I don't think they could key in the Four Horsemen with, say, Guinness or whatever, because the laws on advertising alcohol, although that's by the by. By the by. If you're thinking about the Sturm und Drang of 666, and then you have this fairly light sort of "What It Doesn't All Matter" song at the end of it, does that release the tension in a good way, or does that release the tension in a bad way? Personally, I believe it releases tension in a good way. So there's no two ways about it. But I could see somebody who is invested in the concept of it being St. John the Divine, 666, all that stuff, and going, you know what? isn't very good. He takes it down too much. I can see where they're coming from. I don't agree with them, but I can see where they're coming from. It's not terrible. Before. The fact it's such an excellent song, and the fact it is a release of the steam of the album. Other people might say that this is not really how can I put it? It's not really a problem, and it isn't, not to me. But when other progressive rock bands do it, I can't give you examples at the moment. When other progressive rock bands do it, when rock bands do it, especially if they're not particularly progressive, but they like to be thematic, and then all of a sudden they take the air out of the theme at the end, especially if it's a dark or complicated theme. It can be troublesome. I'd love to know people's opinions on tagging basically a pop song, albeit a very good one, at the end of a deeply pop, not in that sense, but grand, full of pomp. Dealing with a big theme, and that, let's put it this way. As far as I know, they didn't do this. I could be wrong. Please get back to me if I'm wrong. But the two great Procol Harum Depression albums, Home, Broken Barricades, they didn't have a light pop song at the end of them. As far as I know, they didn't. I'll have to go back to that because I haven't listened to them. I would like. Gosh, I've got a sneaky snitch. Excuse me. Ichi Right. And that didn't kill the feel. Both albums are dark, great albums, and the music sometimes lightens the text, but it's still dark. But they don't have these outlet songs at the end, which can be good, can be bad. In my earlier thing of saying about After Dash's Child's Brain, good, very good, in part. So, where do you get the point where song, or dare we say it's too big, too complicated, too difficult to think about for people to start caring? Sometimes it's a case of music. It's the music. It's the music. Yeah, you get my point. But I would like to point out something here. If you do that, you miss a lot out. And I'm as guilty of it as the next man. I mean, when you actually analyze some lyrics, they're horrifying. And frankly, there can be, I won't say slit your wrists, but here's the thing. Keep your audience in the loop. So if they know you're going to be deep, they know you're going to be dark, that's what you've got to give them. If they're prepared to read it, if they're prepared to do it well, you could almost a concept album based on the telephone directory. Gosh, that's an old quote, isn't it? You don't have telephone directories anymore, which is annoying because we should, but hey ho. I mean, listen to, say, Van de Graaff Generator. Greatest album. Some people would say Porn Hearts. I find that a bit spare and a bit dry. I like God Bluff. I like, New World Record and all that. Not New World Record. Vital. Why do I get them two confused? I mean, ELO is nothing like Van de Graaff Generator. Although I thought, sure they had a title in common somewhere. Or at least very similar. HTHE, who am the only one. I think that's right, isn't it? He's a classic. But do, very depressing. The Emperor in His Womb, very depressing, but it's good to see he's getting the Emperor in His Womb. He's getting his just with desserts. I've often posited the fact that if he hadn't been less of a military man and less of an emperor and more of a bean counter, albeit an extremely heartless one, he might have believed, but that's by the by. That's by the by. Don't take this as me having a one in about a year's time. Yay, yay, yay. Or nay, as the case may be. What I would Pioneers of the Sea is sort of like slightly depressing, but all pioneering into the ether, especially because it take ages and ages and you're never going to see the end result, is inherently depressing anyway, even though it's a good thing. Work that one out. Killer is more, don't know what to say about Killer. Killer's, it's more statement of fact. You have this great Leviathan of the sea that is inherently meant to be lonely. Which, sorry, got an itch. Sort of, let's put a tin hat on that. Because that's the tangent I don't want to go down. Not today. If you think about it, something like this is, it's Van de Graaff Generator. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get Pete Hamill's perishing alt whatever vocals. You're going to get two saxes blasting off of nothing, like whatever. You're going to have bass played on organ pedals. Yeah, you're going to get that. And of course it fits. It fits fantastically. It's one of the greatest albums of all time. But it's depressing. Could it have done with an outlet? Could it have done with a break? could it done with literally a break? Maybe something like putting them rather than at the end. I doubt we're going to properly now. Personally, a lot of people would say no, because you know what you're getting from Fantagraphic. Going away from progressive rock, take bands that are inherently light, inherently nice, inherently pretty decent band. Yeah. Some calls, that's how good it is. I do like it. It is again one of my favourites. But gosh, it's sparse. They also did Muskrat Love, which I do find them slightly uncomfortable. I know what they were trying to get at, but it's so silly. Nothing was it. It's a bit special. It's also a bit wrong. It's also synthesizers. Warning sign, synthesizers. Oh god. Actually, I'm not against them. I actually quite like a lot of synth pop. It's just when you're not used to it, it becomes odd, weird, something you can't quite hold on to. So, yeah. Now, their whole career, Odd Serious Moments, was all release. It was all happiness. Well, not all happiness, but all high emotions, light. But it was never a defining fit for them. If it had been, if they were singing sort of jaunty pop songs about depression, or jaunty pop songs about what's the word? Even though technically it's a live stream, and I'm not supposed to edit a live stream. I am screwed. I need to tell me all this works, because sometimes I have getting all of this is wrong. Very, very wrong. Things like, gosh, how can I put this? Depression alone. There's only room for one of them.